UFC 319, Plessis versus Chimaev is tomorrow in Chicago at the United Center. And I'm gonna be going over all my picks. And I don't like to use the word picks, but that's a gambling term. But all my choices of who I think is gonna win, and it's gonna be great. And I'm gonna go over the whole card, starting with and some fights are removed, and I'll talk about those. So the flyweight bout, tough flyweight finale, is Alibi Idris versus Joseph Morales. Morales. Um, I watched all of Tough. I watched every single episodes. I think Imanol got robbed. I think Alibi's 100% going to win this fight. Alibi had two really impressive performances. He's one of my favorites on the show. Him and Rodrigo are my favorites on the show. If you guys watched the show, you know that whole Diego Rodrigo beef was pretty cool. The season was pretty good. Um, it was a fun thing to watch every Tuesday, and I have a contender series to watch now. So that's great, and we'll get to the contender series later. So yeah, I have Alibi. Honestly, I have Alibi by knockout. I believe he by KO. I think Alibi's gonna get it done. I think he's a very talented guy. I don't know how far he's gonna make it yet into the flyweight division, but I really think. Sorry, I really think he's gonna go rather far. I hope so. I think he's a fun fighter, but it's only the touch season finale. He's got to do more work for me to be like, oh, he's gonna be a top guy. A little too early for that. Hasn't even won this fight yet. Um, Carini Silva versus Dion Barbosa. I don't know. Carini Silva had some pretty good. Who fucking cares about Carini Silva? Ooh, Elson Barbosa versus Edson, not Elsa. Edson Barbosa versus Jakar Close. Jakar Close. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not. Lost his last fight, yeah, against Alvarez, which I thought was, I think got finished by him. Memory serves me right. Edson Barbosa's been fighting, pretty okay for a guy, his age. He lost against Murphy, and that win his age, and that loss is aging pretty okay. Um, I guess I have Barbosa here. I still think still got it. I think he could do something. He could beat this guy at least. I don't know how far he's really gonna get again, but we're near the end for Edson Barbosa. Jakar Close, this might be a must-win fight for him to keep his contract. Maybe he'll go crazy or some shit. But no, I have Edson Barbosa winning this fight by decision. Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. So someone who who's a little older still. How old is Alexander Hernandez? I don't know. He looks fucking old. Got some wrinkles on his face. But yeah, Chase Hooper, young up and comer, fighting old guys. But I don't know Alexander Hernandez's age off the top of my head. But he's not Chase Hooper's age. Um, Chase Hooper, great grappler. I think he's really fun to watch in all honesty. He's funny on the mic, but we're not really here to talk about that, but I feel like we have to, you know. Hopefully he uses the same tactics to win the last fight. But he spent a little too much time doing that. So we'll see. But I have Chase Hooper by submission here. I think it's be a fun grapple. I think Chase Hooper's gonna get to the ground. He's gonna show off the jiu-jitsu. I think it's gonna be a very fun watch. Let's see what else. Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Gonzalez. Um, I wouldn't call myself a Jessica Andrade fan, but I would call myself someone who respects her and someone who thinks she's fun to watch. Um, she's got some hands, but honestly, women's fights are a really big match, a really big, not like a who cares thing, but it could go either way. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen the last dominant women's MMA fight. Actually, not that long ago. Everyone knew Kayla Harrison was going to kill Juliana Pena, but you know what I mean, you know? Um, that like their dogs. Well, their underdogs win a little bit, frequently. But I'm gonna go with Jessica Andrade here. I think experience is gonna play a factor in this fight. I don't think it's gonna be good, but it's fine. Okay, let's talk about before I get to Mearshart versus Olajaychuk. I want to talk about the fights that got canceled because I'm realizing I forgot to do that. So welterweight finale: Rodrigo versus Daniil. um got canceled, or not canceled, but postponed. At least that fight got postponed. I think there was an injury or something. I don't think there was any problems making weight. I could be wrong on that, but something happened. That fight was really exciting for me. I think Daniil's a great fighter, but I think Rodrigo would really enact if you guys watch the show, you guys know Daniil's a big time striker, big time Muay Thai guy, and Rodrigo's a big time wrestler. Great on the ground and pound, hold him down, you know? But I have Rodrigo in that fight for simply that reason. I think it's a mixed martial arts fight, and I think Rodrigo has enough weapons to get on to get Daniil on the ground, and is much better than Daniil on the ground. So I think that's how he's gonna win. But I would give Daniil a contract anyways, unless he gets like brutally knocked down in the first 5 seconds, because Daniil's a really fun fighter, and I think we need that right now, especially in the well, actually no, but the welterweight division's been fine, but we need it. So yeah, but and then the other one, sorry, Bobby Green versus Diego Ferreira. Bobby Green injured, can't walk, sucks. Don't know why I don't know what happened. Maybe it was a freak accident. Maybe he was. I mean, Bobby Green's. Oh, sorry. Name change. King Green. I don't know how long I could do that for. Is going is a older fighter, and he's a fighter with a lot of experience. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here. I'm gonna say he didn't do anything stupid. I'm gonna say this is a freak accident. I don't know. I would be really surprised if like he was doing something he wasn't supposed to do, given his experience in the octagon. He doesn't seem like the type. I know he's a little rowdy, but he's not unprofessional. So yeah, nothing you could do. Next one, speaking of professional, someone who is unprofessional, very unprofessional. Brian Battle versus Rubaboyev. Could be messing up the name right here because it's not on my screen because I'm on the UFC page. It's gone. Brian Battle missed weight by 4 pounds this morning. Earlier reports were saying that 30% purse. That was it. Fight's still on. And then UFC canned it, or I think the UFC did, but that means that the commission did. I don't think the UFC did. I think the commission did for Chicago. Because why would UFC do that? Um, if you guys recall, Brian Battle fought Randy Brown a couple months back at 170. This bout was at 185. Brian Battle missed weight by like fucking 5 pounds again, at 170, and then missed weight by 4 pounds at 185. So maybe you should go to fucking 205. And he missed weight before that Randy Brown fight. And I'm not gonna grant too much with the Randy Brown fight since that already happened, but he did not win that fight. But the point I'm trying to make here is if you're a guy like Randy Brown, I mean not Randy Brown, sorry, Brian Battle, and you're fucking missing weight 3 times in a row and missing weight after moving up 15 pounds, that has to be some of the most unprofessional behavior. I like to think I'm nice. I like to think I don't want to insult anybody on the channel because it's kind of just not my thing. But I'm not insulting anybody personally here for UFC fighters. Except for like John Jones, but like who cares, John Jones? I don't care. I'm a hypocrite, so what? So I sound like I feel bad, but this is a part of the game here. And if you want to be a UFC athlete, you have to make weight. I think it's really irresponsible to everybody around the UFC. Not irresponsible, disrespectful. To everybody around the UFC, your opponent's camps. A lot rides on you. There's a lot of people's jobs that ride on your being able to fight. I don't give a fuck if you win or lose, but you gotta fight. I think, injury is one thing. What can you do? But missing weight like that 3 times in a row, honestly, I don't care how good you are. It's a means to be cut, especially after moving up 15 pounds. Because it's like, what do they do? And, I'm not gonna talk about him talking about a main event bout or like, oh, I should be on the main card. I don't need to go into that. I don't need to insult him and say, oh, he's so, yada yada yada. But what I will say is that, there's a lot writing on you, and there's a lot, that you gotta do, and for other people for other people, not almost, for other people, yeah. There's a lot of jobs at stake and a lot of people's paychecks. And there's a lot more than just you in there, and a lot more than you and your coaches, you know? So, Brian Battle, I don't think he should be in the UFC, if you want my honest opinion. Poor other guy, Roboboyev, I hope they treat him right, Because he was a professional, he may wait. Okay, back to what's actually back to the fights that are actually happening. Okay. Gerald Meerschaert versus Michael Olasechek. Um, Gerald Meerschaert lost to what? RDR? Lost his agent. Never mind. Tavares. Never mind. Fuck. Also, Tavares lost back in April. Um, Fuck it, bro. I have Gerald Meerschaert by submission. I think I want to say fuck it. I feel so rude to say. It's like, oh, I think you're so shit. I think like Gerald Meerschaert's an amazing grappler, and Michael Olasechek is someone who gets submitted a lot, and I think that's how it's going to play out. I think I'm surprised, honestly. I'm not that surprised Gerald Meerschaert is a dog in this, but I don't know. Gerald Meerschaert. I think Gerald Meerschaert's going to submit Michael Olasechek. Um, so yeah, that's it. I think he's an amazing grappler. That RDR fight was really fun. I know he lost, but it's fun to watch. He's a great grappler. I love that. I think he's super talented. He's a little older. I don't think he'll be anybody better than Michael Olasechek, though, if I'm being honest. Michael Olasechek, it's just a bad matchup for him. I think Michael Olasechek, like we saw in the Cedric Dumas fight, really does well against strikers. But people with grappling backgrounds, he can't. He kind of gets put in a bad position. He kind of gets submitted. I don't know why I'm using the word kind of, because it's how it happens. But yeah. Next one. Ooh, Dana White Contender Series. This is a fun story. So for those of you that don't know, today's Friday, so back on Tuesday, there was the season premiere of Dana White Contender Series. Overall, the episode sucked, but one fight that stood out was Basan. Ooh, close one. I almost said something. Kayev. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. That's a little too close to a word I can't say. Versus Eric Nolan, and Eric Nolan is coming up from a different organization, short notice. So Susur Kayev. Okay, so that must be how you pronounce it. Is a Kamzat's teammate and won a contract in the Contender Series back on Tuesday. And by a great body kick knockout. I loved it, And or TKO really. And he asked to be on the card with Hamzat, and they made it happen. They brought up a guy from a different, from a different thing, a different organization. So this guy's debut also. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, I want to say that the weight cut is bad, but he seemed to be fine. Um, he made the weight. He looked fine. If he had struggled with the weight, I would be like, okay, wait a minute. But I think he's gonna win the fight. I think he's a great talent. Now, granted, we have to we get the first, second round syndrome where like it's like, you can't win. We haven't seen you all the way. But I think he's very talented, and I don't know if this Eric Nolan guy. If I'm being completely honest with you, I haven't watched any of his fights. If I'm just gonna be honest with you, I couldn't find him. So like in full and all that. So you know what? That's why I'm going to Strikayev because this guy coming up on short notice kind of hints to me that okay, this was like a backup plan kind of thing, But this is his debut also, and the fight was so quick last Tuesday that I think there's no damage done. He looks fine, and so we're gonna see it, and I think he's gonna do a great job. And if he loses, I think it'll be. I don't want to use the word funny because that's rude, but I feel like it'll be a cautionary tale for future guys who do so well in the Contender Series and demand to be on that weekend's card. But I guess it worked out for the UFC because they lost some fights and they gained this fight. Okay, main card time. All right, Tim Elliott versus Kaya Sakura. Um, is surviving around with Pantoja more credit than Tim Elliott's last few wins? I don't know. Tim Elliott hasn't fought. Holy shit! Since December 9th, 2023. Yeah, bro, it's wraps. Kaya Sakura did not look too amazing in the Pantoja fight, but at the same time looks better in his rising career than Tim Elliott. Right now. Tim Elliott a few years back, would have been a little different story, but half a decade ago, or a little, But so I'm going with Kaya Sakura for this fight. I'm not gonna say, oh, he looked great in the Pantoja fight because he didn't, but he didn't look horrible. I think Pantoja just looked. I think Pantoja is just amazing. Not that Sakura's ass. You know, because we could all agree here that Pantoja is monster in there, man. And so yeah, I'm going with Pantoja. I mean, brain fart. I'm going with Sakura. So yeah, by for Sakura, honestly, I'm gonna say my knockout. Oh, and did I do the knockout for Chimaev, submission Chase Hooper, decision Edson Barbosa, this I'm gonna say decision to Lee Beatrice. Actually, no, I'm gonna go knockout. All right, Jared Cannonier versus MVP. So Michael Venom Page, another fight at middleweight again. He said it was a one-time thing, and then his reasoning was that no one really wanted to fight with him, who he thought deserved his time. So he felt like he was kind of stuck in the welterweight division, or something like that. That's what he says. Because when he fought Shara, he said that like, oh, it's only a one-time thing to go to middleweight. But I guess he's staying here now. Jared Cannonier is kind of on a downhill. I am not a Jared Cannonier hater. I really am not. I know he had that amazing win against RoboCop. I know that. I think MVP is a better fighter than Jared Cannonier. I think. I think MVP will win this fight by decision. I honestly don't think he will knock out Jared Cannonier. And one thing I want to say is that I would not like to see Jared Cannonier get knocked out by like a crazy flying knee. I really wouldn't. But that does not altering my opinion on if I think MVP should knock him out. I don't think MVP is gonna knock him out. It's very simple. I think MVP is gonna kind of fight how he's been fighting. I think he's gonna be very, I'm gonna get you, and hey, you're losing. You gotta do something kind of moment where he kind of puts his opponent in these positions in the rounds where it's like, hey, it's 2 minutes left. We've been striking for a bit. I'm winning this round. What are you gonna do? And so it's kind of hard to really enter on him because he's so good at countering and seeing what's coming. So I think Jerry Cannonier's got to get the grappling. So let's see it. But I don't think so. I think MVP's gonna win this fight by decision. Okay, Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates was rushed into that Gary fight. He didn't deserve having it at that time. And I know this is the match that was supposed to be made. And so maybe you can't really take too much away from Carlos Prates from that loss. But he did not look good. If I'm being completely frank, he did not look good. He had that last moment in the last round, but he looked horrible in that Ian Gary fight. So honestly, I don't know. At the same time, Ian Gary, Jeff Neal, love him or hate him, Ian Gary's a really good fighter, and Jeff Neal was not at that level. And so I guess what I'm gonna say here is that Jeff Neal is a lot closer to Li Jingliang that a lot of people want to admit. I don't want to be mean, but I'm not really big on Jeff Neal's talent, if I'm being completely frank. And I think that Jeff Neal's gonna lose this fight. I have Carlos Prates by knockout. Second round. Actually, not third round. I think Jeff Neal's a tough guy. If Carlos Prates loses this fight, though, it'll be really embarrassing for him. Oh shit! Oh, my phone slipped, and then my camera moved. Yeah, I'm not on my camera today because I need to change. I need to do some settings on it. I really want to get this video out before it got too dark, because I don't want to take out the light and all that. So yeah, I gotta work on my camera though. I gotta like figure some stuff out. It's not broken or anything. I just gotta kind of put the perfect settings on and take some time to do that. Okay. Co-main event. Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. I believe to be 3 rounds. I could be wrong. Um, I don't tell you on the UFC website, which I just realized that. Damn. Lerone Murphy's only 5'9". He looks a lot taller than 5'9". But yeah, no, I have so Aaron Pico UFC debut. Good for him. UFC debuts from Bellator PFL aren't doing so well this year. Mix, Pitbull, now Aaron Pico. Um, Ron Murphy's undefeated. And he's undefeated in the UFC. He's undefeated for a reason. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's an amazing fighter. And I think he's going to win this fight. I think he's going to win this fight by decision. I think it's going to be very clear cut that Aaron Pico, I'm not going to say doesn't belong in the UFC, but I'm going to say, he isn't at Lerone Murphy level. I really hope they bump him up in the rankings for this one. I would hate to see him take this fight and not move in the rankings. That would suck. So hopefully they treat Lerone Murphy right with this win. But I have Lerone Murphy by a confident decision. Okay. For the middleweight title, main event time. I need some water, but I don't want to cut this video. So I'm just gonna talk with dehydrated. Um, Middleweight title bout. Here we go. Main event. Dracus du Plessis, Hamzat Chimaev. The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's get right into it. Before I say my pick, I'm gonna explain why I'm gonna explain my pick, and then eventually you guys are gonna realize by the third sentence what my pick is. Dracus du Plessis is an amazing brawler. He really is. In the Izzy fight and the Sean fight, Sean fights, and the Robert Whitaker fight. I keep going on Vittori. He's an amazing brawler. He goes really forward. Defensively, he's a good defender. He's very good defensively. He doesn't throw counters. He guards high. He guards high. If you watch back the Izzy fight, Izzy kind of he would brawl. Jacobs would brawl. Izzy would. I mean, yeah. Jacobs would brawl, step back, defend, high up. Izzy would like jab him, but leave his hand in his face, and then go for like a body thing. A body punch or kick, whatever. I rewatched the Izzy fight for this. I don't think that flies with Hamzat, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. I think that instead of it being a punch, it will be a takedown. And I know people say like, oh, I know it's like not really smart to say, oh, if Dracus gets taken down, it's over, because Dracus the champion. So you can't really say like, oh, he doesn't have a wrestling game because that's not true. He does. He's a great wrestler, but he's not good enough to not get submitted by Hamza. If I'm being honest, in my personal opinion, that's what this is. And then you guys might be asking, well, maybe change his game plan. I want to see how he defends more than he brawls out. Hamzat likes to. I'm gonna do this with my hand. I'm gonna do this with my other hand, so I do look better on the camera. Hamzat, this is Hamzat, right? He's standing up. Hamzat will shoot down and then shoot up at the hips, right? And go like boom instead of boom. If that makes sense. If I'm explaining it right. Watch back some of the fights. And not like when he's against the cage, you know what I mean. Like when he shoots in the beginning of the fight, usually. Always. I think that Drakus will get caught by one of these. And now the question is what happens on the ground? I don't like to use the term, oh, if he gets on the ground, it's over. But I really think Hamzat will submit him. And I think it'll be done in the first round. Because when he said, like, oh, first round or second round, I think Drakus will survive. I think it's more about, I think the reason why some people say maybe second or third is because they don't believe that he'll get the takedown right away. And I'm going to say that's not true. I'm going to play a little fortune teller here and say that Drakus brawls out, lands some good stuff. Hamzat doesn't look too great in the beginning with the striking. Drakus backs up. Hamzat starts attacking the head like crazy. Drakus really shoots Drakus high guard, both hands. You know what I mean, right? Yeah, I'm gonna do it with my mic. Like, hold up. Like, you get the point I'm trying to make. And I think Hamzat's gonna immediately shoot for the body, and I think he'll get him down, and I think he'll submit him against the cage. He'll drag him to the cage like he always does, and that'll be it. And this is no shade towards Drakus. This isn't like, oh, I don't think Drakus can handle it. Because I don't like to say that, because, I think if Drakus' style defensively was a bit different, I think he would have a much better chance at defending the takedowns. I think offensively, Drakus fights great. I think defensively, if I'm Drakus, maybe I'm looking to, move around a little bit on defensively, guard the body, not, maybe try to do some counters. Let's throw in some counters there. Make Kamzat a little, put some risk into his takedowns. But I'm not going to use the term you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but it really does seem like today in the UFC, a lot of guys just don't really adjust. Um, and I don't think Dracus will adjust in time. I think he'll just naturally just do what he always been doing. I think Hamza will catch him on it. Um, I think this is a really big win for Dracus. If he gets it, it'll do wonders for his career, and it will really separate him from the rest. And if Dracus does win this, I won't go around saying, "Oh, Hamza was never good," because that's not in no way, shape, or form the truth, no matter what. But I really do think that Hamza's gonna win this fight, and I think that's how he's gonna. The way I explain, I think exactly that's how he's gonna win it. All right, that's pretty much it for my video. Um, I'm probably not maybe gonna do a live stream, or maybe I will. I guess you guys have to wait and see for that. Um, I think it's gonna be a great card. It's gonna be a great night. I hope everyone enjoys it. And I'm gonna say this: I'm not like a hero or anything. I don't see myself as someone who's like, oh, I'm so amazing. But I will encourage people to. I will say my opinion on sports gambling here for a minute and why I make these videos. I make these videos for fun. I think I make these especially these prediction videos is not like a pick thing, like a gamble. "Well, here's my gambling picks, make some money." It's not like that. It's just kind of like my opinion out there, and I am humbled that anyone would watch and say, like, "Oh, that's what Jake thinks." I saw this in a different way now because of the way he explained it or his opinion. Um, so maybe I should do more explaining in my videos for some of the lower card fights. But I really do think, not does think, I really do think that sports gambling ruins sports. And I'm not really against gambling as a whole. I think you guys should gamble, go to the casino. So I'm gonna encourage everybody to not gamble, and especially not gamble with my picks. Um, Instead go to a casino. But more importantly, the reason why I say don't gamble on sports is that it takes away from the point of why we all watch. How you're supposed to watch. Because I'll say this right now, there's a right way to watch sports, and it's to enjoy the action, for what it is, and not for what it means. What it is. Like, here's what's happening, not if this happens, this happens. So that's not what it's about. Um, so, you know, I'm not talking to gambling addicts here because you guys are low-key good. But what I'm saying is that, don't do it. It ruins the fun, I think, and I think the more you do it, the more you just forget what that feeling was like not doing it and not watching it. I personally never gambled on sports. Um, it's not my thing. It never has been. I've seen a lot of people gamble on sports, and I'm not really bankrupt tales, but rather just don't enjoy it as much as I am enjoying it. And I feel like if they didn't gamble on it, they would enjoy it more. Um, but everyone's interests are different. So I will say, try to enjoy it, watch it for what it is, and don't gamble on my picks. My picks aren't for gambling. I will never accept. I mean, I know I'm talking like I'm a big superstar. I'm not, but I don't think I'll ever accept I know I won't ever expect a sports gambling sponsorship. I'm not one to get. I don't think it's right, and there's a whole level of corruption. There was that corruption story with the UFC guy. I forget his name on top of my head. I should remember it though. Kraus, right? Could be wrong. That's his last name. But you guys know that story already. But you get the point I'm trying to make. But so watch it, have fun with the friends, have fun alone, have fun however, and enjoy it. And don't gamble on it because gambling ruins enjoyment. Because then you're not enjoying the fights, you're enjoying making money. You can make money every day, but only every Saturday you can watch the fights. The Kamzat Chimaev GDP matchup comes every once in a while, right? It doesn't come all the time. And gamble, you go to the casino same day earlier in the day and get your gambling out the way. And it's not like, oh, I'm proving I'm smart. I think it's don't try. You don't need to prove that like you know sports. You're smart about sports. I think some people do it for that reason. You know, make a YouTube channel. Talk about it. That's what I did, right? But yeah, like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this. A little bit long video, but it's okay. Who cares? I had fun, and yeah, fights tomorrow. Who led? Life is good. Yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. Okay, bye.